Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Toby channel. Of course, it's time for my Game Week 10 Fantasy EFL preview. Somehow we've made it 10 weeks into the season already. We've got a super exciting video lined up for you today, where of course we're going to recap last week, the double game week, which actually, as I'm recording this, there's a couple games still to play, but also talk about everything Game Week 10. We've got a massive preview for you and a brand new section, the Experts Corner, where we have the world number 2 revealing his fantasy EFL team for the week. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into it. So yes, somehow we are on to our 10th game week already. We've been through 9 weeks. So I'm recording this and hopefully it'll go out before the games, but on the Wednesday night before QPR have played their last game. So just having a quick look at Game Week 9, everything that happened. The double, it could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. We've actually seen ourselves go up from 13.5k up to 12k, so the rank has slowly actually moved up. I think it's our first time in 5 weeks or so that we've actually got a green arrow, so have to be happy with that. We've made a bit of progress finally. I think my goal for this year has just got to be to get somewhere in the top 1k if we can do, and just see where we go from there. It's still going to be a bit of a climb back to the top, but we're going to try our best, and I think that it's very possible. We've still got a long time to go. So let's just talk about what happened this week. I ended up with Joel Colwell in my team. I'm 95% certain that I put Ruben Colwell in my team. How have I just seen the same name and just put Joel in? Because obviously I've spoken about them. I know that it's Ruben and not Joel. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. The start of the week, the start of today, I went to make my first draft for Game Week 10. In my team was Ruben Colwell, not Joel. I think it's suspicious. I had a couple of people message me saying that they got a scare from the app last night, and I'll put some pictures of that as well, seeing that their Cardiff players weren't starting when they were, but obviously you wouldn't have been able to change your players on a Tuesday night as well. I think it's just a bit suspicious that I got Joel in my team and not Ruben. Maybe this is just mega copium, and you know, it's obviously embarrassing. It's just, maybe I've just been stupid. The chances are I have just been stupid. But I'm so meticulous with my team, spend so long going through it. How would I do that? Like, I don't know. I feel like something might have bugged and it's gone wrong. It's only 8 points. Ruben got 13 in the end. Still a bit of a difference. I'd rather have the 8 points. Obviously didn't mean to put Joel Colwell, who gets 2 points most weeks, in my team. But it is what it is. It's funny. I wasn't clip farming. I wasn't doing it for attention because, you know, I've not made a TikTok or a short or anything about it. It's just something that's happened. It is what it is. I think I've got to take it on the chin. I feel like something bugged out. Maybe it didn't, you know, and I'm just making myself feel better. But aside from that, Lloyd Jones conceded late on to Derby. Derby ruining my clean sheet again late on. Very frustrating. Mehmeti had an interception taken off him last night. Obviously a late goal as well for Cardiff, conceding against Burton, losing to them at home, who were bottom of the league, is a massive blow and a pretty unfortunate result given how many chances the likes of Ruben Colwell and his team did have on the night. Windass wasn't a great pick, but I don't think Vestergaard did an awful lot better, conceding it in the first game as well. So it is what it is. Hopefully QPR can get a result tonight. If I was to get up towards 100 points, I would be absolutely buzzing. I'm expecting maybe 10 points or so from the team in total. Let's see what it is. If QPR win, I would hope there's either a clean sheet or a return for Kone. So plenty to go yet. If you're watching this after Richard Kone's already scored his hat-trick, then just pretend that I'm celebrating in this section. But come on, you R's, and let's get into Game Week 10. Just putting the video together as well after recording, and I didn't explain that I used my max captain this week. It was sort of just a spur of the moment thing because I didn't know who to captain, and to be fair, it has gained me a few points. Hopefully Kone is going to hit a hat-trick after I've posted this video out, and I couldn't speak about it in the video. But yeah, use my max captaincy. I'm not too mad at it. There's not really a better opportunity before the February time when it changes that I'm not going to be as unsure or less confident in a team. I just didn't know who to captain basically, and I'm not mad at it, but obviously I wish that it was a little bit better. Maybe over that, you know, that Christmas double game when everybody doubles would be a more optimal time. But it is what it is. Yeah, not too mad. It's not the end of the world. We've got a green arrow, so maybe that's just what we need. We need a chip every week, and we can finally go up the rankings. But yeah, that's just a bit of an explanation anyway. Just wasn't really sure where I was at. So here's all the clubs that I've highlighted for Game Week 10. I've tried to actually make this video a bit more differential than usual and put some more exciting picks in because we're 10 weeks into the season now. the really basic picks like the Cardiffs, I've not got a few teams who are similar to them in there, because you know what they're like. You're not coming here to see, oh yeah, I'm just going to go for a really basic pick. I'm going to try and, have some spicy ones in there, something that might really help you out. But of course, if I think there's a fixture that really needs pinpointing, like Cardiff's one this week, then I'm going to still talk about it. An honourable mention before we get into it goes to Walsall, who are top of League 2. They've got Bristol Rovers this week. I think it's a solid shout, and I think that if you go for it, that's great. But there were just a few more teams that excited me more that I wanted to speak about. So Cardiff against Orient. I think the Orient have conceded the joint most goals in League 1, which is a crazy start. Cardiff, obviously, the Burton game might put you off, which is completely fair enough. But the averages, their clean sheet amounts, the data that they've got suggests that they're a real good pick, and they've just been consistently scoring and getting along over the season. Obviously having a little bit of a blip at the minute, but I still think it's a solid pick. Coventry against Sheff Wednesday. Sheff Wednesday just keep punishing us. They just keep getting results when, we're not expecting it. But Coventry's data is so good. Their attacking data nearly at 2 expected goals per 90, but also their defensive data. I think that's the best in the EFL in terms of expected goals conceded per 90. So Coventry just feels like a great shout. Away from home puts me off a little bit, but I still think that it's a really good option this week. Swindon as well, who are just absolutely flying. The clean sheets, the defensive data isn't, well, in terms of the clean sheets, the data is not great. The defensive data is actually really solid for Swindon, and I think that Newport away is actually a good fixture for them. Bolton at home to Peterborough. Love this one. Bolton's defensive data, again, is really good, and I think that it will soon start coming through in the clean sheets. They're due a couple to come in. What a better game to turn it around than against Peterborough, who are bottom of the league. I think that Bolton are being slept on a little bit, but I do expect to see a few of their defenders and a few ACDs creeping in the teams over the week. Southampton, I think that they're on the up. I think that they're going to start getting results. Obviously just got the win against Sheffield United, which was absolutely huge. They've got Derby away this week. The attacking data is just tremendous. They've got the most expected goals in the Championship. It's a bit above Coventry, but they've played one extra game compared to them. But I just think that the Southampton shout is solid this week, and I'd like to really start picking their assets soon. Maybe it's a bit soon to start picking them, but I think soon you're really going to see them start flying up the table. Port Vale against Northampton. Northampton, who are in a good run of form. I think that they've had 4 wins in their last 5, but they played against Wickham the other week and they were absolutely dreadful and could barely muster up a shot. So Port Vale's defensive data is solid, especially at home, really backing them. Their data in general is really good. I think they're likely to win this one because Northampton away at us, their last away game, they were pretty poor, and I think that Port Vale are a really tricky customer. So another differential one, maybe you fancy it. And then Barrow is my biggest differential this week, playing against Shrewsbury. The data's not good for Barrow, but it's got a bit better in the last couple of weeks. Barrow have won 2 in a row, Shrewsbury have lost 3 in a row. Shrewsbury's attacking data isn't great. Shrewsbury's manager, I think it's Appleton, the manager, he came out this week saying it's time to stop talking and let's just put it right. I think that's a comment of a manager who's under fire, who's due to get the sack soon. I think that Barrow have a really good chance, and Shrewsbury, one of the poorest teams in League 2 this season. Like it as a differential, that's what I'm thinking this week. A few spicier picks than usual, but a few really good ones that I'm liking the look of. Before we move into the defenders, I've just got to say, you might have noticed on the right side of the screen, I've put my new Instagram handle on there. I've got a little media account now because I only had a private Instagram account before. If you want to follow along, get some behind the scenes, see all of my vlogs that I get going on whenever I go to the Wickham games and go to different football games, feel free to follow my Instagram, Toby Large Media. That's my handle over there, and also my TikTok, Toby.large as well. I like to post some match vlogs, a bunch of different stuff, some commentary clips, all sorts we've got on there. So if you'd like to follow, I would appreciate that so much, and I'd love to be able to show you all a bit more of my life outside of Fantasy EFL and these sort of videos. But anyway, let's get into the defenders, and you'll notice this week, the defenders section, look at the percentages. There are massive differentials that I've got going on because none of the fixtures are really jumping out to me too much for the real popular ones, aside from maybe Cardiff. But again, I don't think I need to talk to you through Cardiff, through the picks. Bagan is the one who I've highlighted in the honourable mentions. We're going to talk about some really fun picks this week. Sonny Bradley, attacking data is amazing. The chances of a clean sheet is unbelievable. Exeter are really poor away from home. I think he's going to be my captain this week. It's a bit of a spoiler for my team selection later on, but I'm just really backing it. I've got a good feeling, and he played for Wickham. Connor Hall next. Again, I've just spoken you through Port Vale. I think they've got a really solid chance. His clearance data as well is unbelievable, usually getting at least 2 points, maybe 3 points for clearances per game, gets a few tackles and blocks as well. Solid clean sheet data. I think it could be a real good pick this week. Weir, who left-footed centre-back for Walsall, scoring goals, seems familiar, reminding me of my boy Taylor Allen. Weir, who scored a couple goals, I think, were they both free kicks the other week? Got an inform on the new FIFA game, FC 26 actually, as well for it. Think he could be a good shout. Equally, think that any of his teammates in defence as well could be worth it. Anthony O'Connor, an absolute legend from the game last year. Lots of you will remember I used to post about him in the differential threads all the time over on Twitter, if you're not following FEFLTIPS on X. But yeah, O'Connor, who his data the last couple of weeks has been really good, started getting a couple of clean sheets. I think the Crew game's difficult, but with the amount of clearances he gets, maybe he doesn't need a clean sheet to get a really good return. Farino, a big differential against Peterborough. His clearance data is really good. When he was at Wickham, his attacking data was solid. He loves attacking a corner and he'll throw himself at absolutely everything. Playing against bottom of the league, I think it could be a good shout. Raglan from Barrow against Shrewsbury, as we mentioned before, I think it's a really good fixture, and he's 0% owned, the same as Night Label as well, who's just come back from injury. So think that he could be a real good shout. His attacking data is really good. He's got a goal within his first 3 games as well for Swindon. Away from home puts me off a little bit, but it's still a really nice fixture, and I think that he could be a good shout. Equally, Tafazoli could be a good option. Flint could be an alternative to Weir if you want one, and then Bree as well, who's seems to have been scoring or assisting every week for Charlton at the minute. He's an honourable mention for me too. But the defenders section I think is really exciting this week. I don't want 3 of them in my team. I think it's just about picking 2 and trying to pick the right one in a week where it's going to be tricky to call. But yeah, I really like some of these options. Now on to the game week 10 midfielders. There's some really nice options this week. I've got a real mixed bag here. Some that are really differential, 0%, but then some that are really popular as well. The Victor Torp shout, I'm just not sure what I think about it, because he scored 5 goals from holding midfield this season. It's a bit like Bailey at Doncaster, who seems to keep scoring as well. I'm just not sure it's sustainable, especially with the XGI numbers, but in fairness to him, he's getting a few key passes and shots on target. The numbers aren't bad, the interception numbers are great, the average is just ridiculous, but I feel like it has to drop off and level out at some point. He's really popular. I can't see myself going for it, especially when I'm looking at the team pick, but he just keeps scoring goals, so I don't know, maybe it's one that I shouldn't be avoiding. I'm making a mistake there, because the data is solid, but just I don't think it's enough compared to some of the real attacking players. I think that they call to me a little bit more, and over the season I would imagine that you're going to gain more points. It's a bit similarly last season. I think it edged out over the course of the season. If you went for the attacking players, it tends to be a bit better. Colwell now, Colwellgate. We're talking about Ruben here. Let's just get that straight. His data is really good. Put him in your team at your peril, because maybe a ghost will come and change him to Joe Colwell. But yeah, I don't know. I think that his data is great. I wish that I had him in my team this week. He didn't even score in the last game or get an assist, but he still got, I think it was 7 points against Burton, because he's just so involved for his team. I think he's a real good asset, and I think, is it the week after this is international breaks? I know he got called up for Wales, I'm pretty sure. There was a bit of discourse about it, but what a player he is. A great young talent, and I think he's a good option for the week. Mehmeti, as always, got to talk about him, because his goals and assists just keep racking up. Got an assist last night against Ipswich from a corner. His data is unbelievable. I think he's going to be on penalties as well. Whenever Bristol City get one, he does love a penalty, so really solid shout. I love that one. I love him and Colwell as picks. I think that they're really solid. ACD, I'm not sure about, just because the data I think is a bit low, 0.29 XGI per 90, but he gets shots on target, he gets key passes, so I've always been a bit of a hater, haven't I, with ACD, but with a fixture like this, I'm not, if anybody's putting him in their team, I think it's absolutely fair enough. I just think, I wish his data was a bit better, but maybe I'm too much influenced by XGI. Now, Gus Hamer, I think that Sheffield United, I'm expecting Wilder to turn it around. They've got such a talented squad. They're not going to stay 24th in the league forever, and Gus Hamer is a brilliant player who last season was an unbelievable asset. He got an assist last night. I'm starting to feel like maybe he's going to turn it around. Him and Callum O'Hare have started to get a few more points in the last couple of weeks, so you could have O'Hare in instead of Hamer. I think that Hull concede a lot of goals. I'm pretty sure they've conceded something like I don't know, it's like 2 goals on average in their last 5 or 6 games. It's something ridiculous. So they keep conceding. Maybe it's worth then having a look at a Sheffield United attacker. And then Davies and Fletcher, 2 my 0% boys. I love both of these picks so much this week, man. Davies for Fleetwood, away at Cheltenham, who've conceded so many goals this season. He's had 3 goals and an assist in 5 games. Fletcher, who's had 2 goals and an assist in 5 games himself. 2 real differentials with similar data, the same amount of interceptions. I think that either are a good shout. Shrewsbury and Cheltenham both ship goals. And if you're looking for a player to really stand out against an opposition this week, then maybe you want to be looking at Davies or Fletcher, because I would be surprised if I don't end up going for one of them in my team as a big differential pick. And then Thomas and Molyneux, I really like. Sorba Thomas against his former club Blackburn, he started to really get his goals and assists back to where he was at the start of the season. And then Molyneux, an early kick-off option if you want to try and do the vice-captain glitch. Well, not glitch, but the vice-captain trick, I should say. He's an option for the early kick-off. Now let's get into the forwards. Our game week 10 forwards now. And you know me, I love this section of the video so much, because these are the explosive assets, the ones that if you nail the right player, you've got a real haul on your hands. And if you picked McBurney last week, then big up to you, because he got that mega haul. People who were on max captain, a lot of people did it. I did it myself as well. It's yeah, it was an unbelievable haul for those who picked McBurney. So very jealous for those who did, but fair play that you went for him. Again, he's playing against bottom of the league, Sheffield United this week. I think Sheffield United are going to turn it around at some point, but he's got more than a goal and an assist per game, so I just think ignoring him would be crazy. And Drinan as well, I think is such a good shout. Away at Newport, he's got 8 goals, a top scorer in the EFL at the moment, so I think that Drinan is going to be a good shout no matter who he's playing against. But Newport are a pretty weak defence as well. Salech, who got himself a goal this week, turning it around. His data is just unbelievable. So I think that if you want, again, a bit of a differential, but one that feels a bit safer than some of the ones that I've listed down below, then maybe Salech you want to go for, because he hits so many shots on target. Tolaj as well, for Plymouth, playing against Wigan, who are struggling a little bit at the moment. He got, I think it was a 15-pointer this weekend, something like that. He seems to have really turned around Plymouth's season since they got him in. They've really started to improve. His data is really solid as well. Got 4 goals to his name already. I think it's a great shout. Now, Michael Mellon, Mickey Mellon's son at Oldham. Again, 2 goals in 4 games since he came in. His data is stupendous. It's ridiculous. 1.17 XGI per 90 is crazy. He's on penalties as well. The Notts County fixture, I think, could be good for having a few goals in there, but it's not the easiest fixture in the world. He's had 7 shots on target in 4 games, which I think is a really, really solid going as well. Oldham are just getting slept on, and I slept on them for so long, but I'm stopping doing it now. I'm realising my mistakes, and I think that Mellon is a great shout. Marriott, since arriving at Reading, he's really turned them around as well. 3 goals and an assist in 4 games is crazy. The data isn't really there. He's been really clinical so far. But when you're in form like that at home to Mansfield, do you want to ignore it? I'm not sure. Could be a really nice differential. And finally, Ross Stewart away at Derby got his first 2 goals of the season the other day. As I said, my stocks in Southampton, I'm starting to put them in there because I think that they might start just pushing up the table because of how good their data is. He's played nearly the full game in his last couple. I think that Ross Stewart, when he's in, you know, an EFL team, he's going to score goals. So Derby away, a pretty decent fixture. I think that he could be a bit of a sleeper pick, and he could soon start really rocketing up those, you know, the top scorer tally in the Championship. But let's see. And then Hadji Wright and Adam Armstrong as well, giving shouts to 2 very different picks. Wright, who obviously we know he's scored a hatful of goals already this season, but Armstrong, similarly to Stewart, just if you fancied Southampton, seem like they might be on the up, then yeah, he's always going to be involved. Although he did miss a penalty this week, so maybe he'll lose his penalty duties to Ross Stewart. So fingers crossed, because that will make Stewart an unbelievable asset. But yeah, that's it for the forwards for now. Welcome to the Experts Corner, my new section of the videos that I'm going to be trying to slot in, not every week, but in certain weeks. I'm going to try and pick an expert, somebody who's doing really well, if they'd like to get on the channel and maybe just explain their first draft, their first team for the week. Really excited to have Charlie on this week, Fantasy EFL Charlie. His Twitter is FEFL_Charlie. If you're not following him, go and give him a follow because he's the world number 2. So we've got him on this week explaining his team picks. He didn't want to get his face involved. He just sent an audio message in to explain his team, which is absolutely fair enough, and that's completely fine. If any of you are doing really well in the rankings as well and you'd like to get on the channel, let me know down below or over on Twitter as well, because I'd love to get more people involved. I love our fantasy EFL community. It's a very tight-knit group. We know a lot of each other personally. It's great to see people, the same names commenting every week, the same people popping up on Twitter doing really well. It's great. It's really wholesome. I'd love to get more people on. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Charlie, who it's only a minute or two long, but he's going to explain his first team for game week 10 and talk you through it.
Hello everyone, I'm Charlie. Toby's already introduced me, but I'm currently number 2 in the world at the time of recording this, and I've got the opportunity to come on here and talk about my game week 10 draft. In goal, I've gone with Connor Wickens of Lincoln. I'm not the biggest fan of the Lincoln defence itself, but they do play a poor Exeter team who've only scored 1 goal on the road so far this season, making it a pretty favourable fixture. I'll be going with the 2 at the back this week for the 9th time this season. I don't like all the defences that much this week, so I'm going to try to target some nice flaws in the fixtures. Firstly, I've gone with Hall from Port Vale. I do like the game against Northampton at home, and Vale have been pretty decent defensively. Although I might find myself twist to the central centre-half, Deborah, if he does start to target the clearances. I've also gone with Farino from Bolton. I'm not too convinced with this pick, as I don't think Bolton are that great defensively, but Peterborough have been pretty poor so far this season, and I do think there's a decent opportunity for a clean sheet. First pick in midfield this week for me is Anis Mehmeti of Bristol. I do like that fixture against QPR, who have been pretty decent recently, but I have that 7-1 loss against Coventry in my mind. Mehmeti's had 62 points so far this season for the Ipswich game. He's on penalties and he's been in pretty good form lately as well, making him a pretty good captaincy option this week for me. Secondly, I've gone with Ruben Colwell. He's got really great home form. He's only blanked 1 time at home so far at the time of recording, racking up 3 double-digit hauls so far this season, making him a pretty solid pick for me this week. My third midfielder will be Molyneux. To finish off my midfield, I've gone with Luke Molyneux of Doncaster. I do really like that fixture at home to Burton, and I do rate Doncaster really highly, especially at home. He's got penalties, and although I do back him quite highly, this is a pick I'm really certain on, and I do think I'll change off it closer to deadline. Up front, I've gone with Laurent Tolai of Plymouth. He's been in pretty solid form recently, scoring 2 goals last time out away at Burton, and he has been picking up some pretty nice positions in the box, and he's got penalties, so I do think he's a pretty good option this week. Wigan's also been pretty poor so far this season, especially away, conceding 4 goals last time out away at Bolton, making this a pretty favourable fixture to target. As for my team picks, I'll be going with Swindon and Coventry for both their away fixtures. I won't be going with 2 away teams that many times this season, but I think this is a great week for it. Both fixtures are pretty nice on paper, and both Coventry and Swindon have been on pretty nice form so far this season, so I do think these are some pretty solid picks this week.
Loving Charlie's team for the week. I think there's some really good shouts and players who stood out to me as well as, you know, some of the picks that I'm really looking at this week. Actually, all the players in here are players that I highlighted this week. So, yeah, I think that it's a really solid team, and, you know, just picking those right players this week is going to be key. It's a pretty tough week to call, but loving Charlie's team at the minute. Of course, he might change it before the deadline, but I don't know if he does team reveals or not, but I'm sure that, yeah, things might change. But that's where he's at the moment as well. So good luck to Charlie for the week. Can't wait to see how he gets on, and good luck in your pursuit of world number 1 too. Time for my own team selection now, after we've just seen Charlie's team. So here we are at this week. Of course, not got my max captainship readily available anymore because we used it last week in game week 9, this current week that's going on, whatever you want to call it. Which, yeah, I didn't mention in the video, but I'd been thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know who to captain whatsoever, so just went for it. But yeah, now onto this week's team selection, and here's where I'm at the moment. There's a lot of, you know, overthinking going on, a lot of players that I'm not 100% sure about, but I'm loving the Sonny Bradley pick at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, he's my captain. Tafazoli I've got, but equally he could be Knightley, or either one of them. If Taff starts, I might go for him because of how good he was at Wickham, and I think his attacking threat is always really good. We've got Trott and Colwell from Cardiff, just because I sort of don't have anybody else that I would rather go for at the minute. I think Colwell will definitely be in there, but the keeper slot with Trott, I might go Stanway, I might go Sharman Lowe. I'm not really sure. Sharman Lowe doesn't really make saves at all, which is what worries me about him. But if he could learn to make saves, then maybe Bolton would start picking up a few more clean sheets. Equally, Stanway, I just love the fixture for him in net for Barrow. Mehmeti and Fletcher, I've got Fletcher, of course, for Barrow. who I mentioned about, and Mehmeti, who's just, his data is just ridiculous, so I just can't see myself looking past it. Of course, I thought about putting Kabia in the team, but the data is starting to drop a little bit, and his minutes, there's too many striker options at Grimsby. Maybe in the future I might pick him back up, but for now, just having a bit of time away from my boy Kabia. And then Drinnen up front as well, the top scorer in the EFL. It's a bit basic. I could put Tolaj in, I could put Mellon in if I was trying to be really clever as well, but I'm feeling good about Drinnen. And then Lincoln is a team pick, and Coventry as well. Feel great about Lincoln. I think they've got a really solid chance. They're doing so well in the league, so big ups to them. And Coventry, love the fixture so much. So yeah, that's where I'm at the minute. It might change again. There's a lot of players on my watch list. There's even more than that. I could probably name you 5 more players that I'm really thinking about. But that's where we're at the moment. I'd imagine I'll have most of those assets in my team. But if there's a change or two, then don't be too surprised as well. But I will keep you posted over on my Twitter. That's all we've got time for in today's Game Week 10 preview. I hope that all the information has helped you out. I'm sorry if it's a bit of a longer video than usual. But if you're still with me, and you haven't pressed subscribe and hit the like button already, please do, because it helps the content out so much. It helps it just to get pushed out to as many people as possible. Thank you so much for tuning in, and good luck to everybody for the week as well. It's a real tough week this week. I think that the differentials are really going to be, making a pursuit on some of those more template and basic picks. So fingers crossed some of the ones that we're going with can really thrive, and we can continue this push up the rankings, get ourselves into the top 10k, and hopefully we're going to really start climbing the leaderboard soon. Good luck to everybody at home. Good luck for the weekend. I hope you all have a great weekend and a great Game Week 10, and I'll see you same time, same place next week. I'll see you there. Good luck everyone. Peace.